Late 2019, I retired my music career. I was alienated from my children for a couple of months and was at a place where I was ready to file for full custody of them. There was an attempt on my life, and instead of filing a police report, I decided to just let it go, which eventually worked in my favor. I thought of moving out of my house, or apartment rather, and downsize to a studio apartment to save money for a car and a house. I took a loan from my stepfather to help my transition. The plan was to move, save money, and buy a house, discover my wife, get married, then file for full custody of my children. 4 months after the incident in 2020 of January, I had a very traumatic event happen at my job. That very same day when I went on break, I received a voicemail from CPS stating my children were in foster care. I've had custody of them ever since. Now I came into conflict with my work schedule because I had custody and needed the hours that I worked to be with the children. Every step I tried to take to transition have been halted. Then I came to an ultimatum eventually to either work the shift they wanted or leave. After 2 months of difficulties with changing this shift, I did not compromise. So I decided to put my 2 weeks in. No brainer. Everyone else at my job was so worried, I remember. How would I care for the children, provide? But at that moment, I was done stressing. See, now that mindset led me to an overwhelming peace for everything that happened. My job decided to let me go 2 days before my last day in March 2020. The next day, coronavirus shut the world down. I applied for unemployment, which went through. And shortly after, they passed the first stimulus check and also $600 extra on top of the unemployment I was receiving. And I had a pretty decent job, which helped. 3 months of avoiding frivolous spending and saving almost everything I had. I received a new fire to start music for the glory of God. That's when I thought of Christian rapper. I wanted to shoot videos for my music, but I also wanted to save money. In my first Inspiration video, My First Step, I explained in a little more detail how all this started. I had a conversation with one of my best friends, expressing how I wanted to shoot our own videos. The camera would be more, I knew that, but I believed in long-term investments. I had a bank account full of thousands, so I did my research and found the Lumix GH5. After I got my camera, I started a YouTube search. I wanted to know how to use my camera. Then I saw this one video that was suggested. How someone made $100,000 a year doing wedding videos. Like, what? So that made me want to do wedding videos. Tomorrow's Filmmakers had a discount of their course. I mean, this was such a steal, I should have repented for it. Since I had the most money that I've ever had in my life, it wasn't a hard investment, but a very easy one. And also, I feel like a blessing from God. So summer, fall, winter, I watched over all the courses, done research on what I needed next, even started homeschooling my children in the midst of all of it. December 2020, it randomly hit me, God's will. At that moment, I was moved to research on the trademark website, God's Will Production Company, LLC. It was available. God's Will Clothing Company, LLC. It was available. God's Will blank blank. It was available. So January 2021, that's when I started God's Will Production Company, LLC. April 2021, that's when I started God's Will Clothing Company, LLC. And sometime down the line, I'll start the third one. I do have the name for it, and it is available. But I'm not going to release that information because it's not official yet. No, I'm not making that much money from this. Money is actually a lot more tighter. There's a bit more pressure, but I have to look at it like this. Within 1 year, God allowed me, this Hebrew man, to have full custody of my 3 children. I got to leave my job and gain more than if I would stay and work. I also got to start 2 businesses, I got to homeschool my children. I got time to read my Bible and strengthen my relationship with God, build my faith in God, and still be unemployed. I look at how blessed I've been in this whole entire situation, and I know there isn't no mistake. I always quote Romans 8:28 because that's like my life verse. I look around and I look at my life. I look at the world. I look at everything, and I know this is God's will. Thank you, Jesus.